ESD, ESD, ESD.
Have you ever gotten electronically discharged in the middle of a match? A key problem in FTC is discharge. Electrostatic discharge, ESD for short, occurs when there is a collection of charge on two objects of different polarity, and they collide, causing electrons to jump. The sudden rush of charge can cause a whole system, if not grounded properly, to crash, resulting in a stalled robot. In FTC, both robots and fields often accumulate large amounts of charge, especially during the wintertime. This would be because drier air consists of less moisture, which is usually helpful in absorbing electrons, which would mean that more electrons would jump or onto other things, like robots and people. As robots drive around, they build up charge on the chassis with respect to the field. Different robots can charge up differently, some positive, some negative. The potential difference can easily exceed 5 to 10,000 volts. When they collide, they can overdo the rev hubs, which thus causes an overall reset. ESD is a very common problem on the field, and has certainly lost us several matches. But don't worry, there's solutions. It's important to consider two factors, continuity and resistance. We measured this using a multimeter.
To isolate your problem, check around the robot for resistance. So to do this, you have to plug your black terminal into the negative end of the power switch, right? And once you have that, you can take your other terminal and go around the robot looking for resistance. Typically, you want items to be around less than 450 ohms. On our robot, we found a couple spots where there is no continuity at all, and this is a potential area for buildup of charge. So to diagnose this problem, we see that the head of the servo is not connected to the body of the robot, which leaves room for potential to jump. And then in addition, the screw head and the head of the servo, there's a gap between there, but a small gap. This also leaves room for potential charges to jump. So one source of our ESD buildup was this USB port, right? And this houses all our cables for phones and cameras and whatnot. And so we see on the body of the robot, right, the chassis, that we are getting less than 450 ohms, which means it's okay. But between our USB and the hub, it's more than 450 ohms, which means that this is the cause of buildup. So what we want to do is go around our robot checking for spots of resistance to make sure they're less than 450 ohms or that there is continuity. And sometimes for these aluminum parts, you have to scratch the surface in order to actually get a reading. And so, I'm going to check right here, and we see that between these two parts right here, there is no continuity at all, meaning that this is a possible place for current to jump. We may never know the actual cause of some of these problems, right? But there are many preventative measures and solutions we can take in order to make the robot better, make sure that this doesn't happen. One of these solutions is using chokes, right? These are put around some cables, as seen here, right? These data cables to ensure that these wires are less likely to have discharge happen on them, right? And so, for example, right, we see here, this is loose and kind of out there. So I'm gonna clamp this choke around that. This just goes around here, and you clamp that on, right? And this protects the wiring from discharge happening. So we can see here that we connected the grounding of the USB cable to the chassis of the robot using a single strand of copper wire, and this means that there should be no discharge from the two surfaces. Similarly to the USBs, we added a copper wire between the servo head and the screw to ground both of them. Right. So this is heavy-duty anti-static spray. To apply this, you can spray this onto a rag or a paper towel, right? Such, you just rub this around any polycarbonate surface or any moving surface, and this decreases the chance of discharge.
So these are some of the ways we solve the ESD issues of our robot. We hope this helps other teams in similar situations. It has certainly improved the performance of our robot. For further details regarding ESD, make sure to check out the description of our video.